All right, diving into the world of clinical social work today, getting you ready for that interview, for a role where you can really make a difference, helping people through those tough times. And we're using RoleCatcher's career and interview guides to get you totally prepped.
It's fantastic to be here. Yeah, let's break down what a clinical social worker actually
So
does.
more than just therapy, right?
Oh, absolutely. More of a multifaceted approach, I'd say. You'd provide therapy and counseling, but also be an advocate, help clients connect with those essential resources. And there's that bigger picture element, too, addressing the social impact of things like medical issues or public health crises.
So working in a bunch of different places, not just a private practice.
Exactly. You could be in hospitals, community health clinics, schools, even government agencies. Lots of options.
That's good to know. Gives you a better sense of things going into that interview.
For sure. And speaking of the interview, that's where RoleCatcher's AI really comes in.
Okay, let's talk about that. How does AI actually help with interview prep?
Well, it analyzes job descriptions, figures out exactly what skills employers are looking for, like it's reading their minds, then helps you tailor your answers to hit those points, like having a personal coach who knows exactly what the hiring manager wants.
So not just giving those generic answers, it's about making sure your responses are really targeted.
Exactly. And there's a feature, Get Found and Shortlisted, that uses AI to make your application stand out. Optimizes your profile and CV for those algorithms employers use to boost your visibility.
Wow, that's amazing. Sounds like RoleCatcher's speaking the hiring manager's language for you.
Exactly. And the Copilot AI subscription takes it even further, helps you fine-tune cover letters, applications, gives you AI-powered suggestions for interview answers, and even analyzes your video practice so you can see how you come across and make adjustments.
Okay, so RoleCatcher is like your secret weapon for the whole application process. Now let's get some insights from the RoleCatcher Career Guide. What's the job outlook for clinical social workers?
The field is projected to grow a lot, like 25% increase from 2019 to 2029. That's way faster than average, meaning there will be a huge demand for skilled social workers.
Well, that's good to hear, especially when you're just starting out.
But important to be aware of the challenges, too. This work can be emotionally draining, and burnout is definitely something to think about.
Right. We touched on the sensitive nature of the issues social workers deal with.
Exactly. So self-care, strong coping mechanisms, those are key. But there are incredible rewards, too. The flexibility, the chance to make a real difference in people's lives. It's a dynamic field you can constantly learn and grow.
Okay, so we've got the context, what they do, the job outlook, how RoleCatcher can help. Now, let's get to the heart of interview prep. RoleCatcher's interview guide has 9 common questions. We'll break each one down, what the interviewer is looking for, and how to craft amazing responses.
Sounds good. Remember, it's not just about the right answers. They want to understand your thought process, your motivation, the real you.
Okay, let's start with the classic. What inspired you to become a clinical social worker?
This is your chance to share your why, your passion for this field. What sparked that desire to make a difference? Your personal connection to social work.
So more than just saying, I enjoy helping people.
Exactly. Go deeper. Was there a specific experience, a person, a book that made you want to do this? Share a story that shows your genuine commitment.
And RoleCatcher can help refine that story, make sure it's clear and powerful.
Yes, it analyzes your response and gives you tips to make it even better. Now imagine they follow up with, can you tell me about a time you advocated for someone in need? How would you approach that?
I'd think about a situation where I spoke up for someone, maybe volunteering or even a personal situation, showing what you did, not just what you intended.
Exactly right. Welcome back to our deep dive, getting you ready for that clinical social work interview.
Yeah, thinking about those unique situations really takes the prep to the next level.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher's interview guide has even more questions to practice with. Let's jump back in with question 10. Describe a time you had to work with a client who was resistant to therapy.
Oh, resistance can be so tough, especially when you're really trying to help.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that resistance is normal. It often means the client's dealing with something deeper, fear, uncertainty, maybe even bad experiences with therapy in the past.
So how do you approach that? What would you be looking for in an interview?
I'd want to see empathy, active listening, a real commitment to building that therapeutic relationship. It's not about forcing anything, but meeting them where they are and understanding that resistance.
So tailoring your approach to their perspective.
Exactly. And be ready for a follow-up, like what techniques do you use to build rapport with a resistant client? That's where you can talk about motivational interviewing, even using creative therapies.
Okay, so showing you understand the issue and have the tools to deal with it. Question 11. How do you handle a situation where you suspect a client is a danger to themselves or others? Wow. Now that feels high stakes.
Absolutely. This question is about knowing those mandatory reporting laws, prioritizing safety, but also maintaining those ethical boundaries. It's a delicate balance.
So how do you strike that balance in an answer?
Be clear and direct. State that you understand the legal and ethical duty to report potential harm. Explain you'd put safety first, both for the client and others, while sticking to confidentiality guidelines.
Could you walk them through the steps? Like assessing the risk, talking to supervisors, contacting authorities?
Great approach. Shows you have a clear process. And a good follow-up might be, how would you talk to the client about your concerns while keeping that therapeutic relationship?
It's about showing you can handle tough conversations with empathy and professionalism.
Okay, so knowledge and sensitivity, both important. Question 12. Describe your experience working with diverse populations. Unagree. We talked about cultural competence, but this is more about showing your experience.
Right. It's one thing to understand it, another to put it into action.
So what kind of experiences would you want to hear about? Talk about working with clients from different backgrounds: cultural, socioeconomic, sexual orientation, gender identity. Have you worked in diverse settings like community centers, schools, hospitals? Show that you can adapt your approach and provide culturally sensitive care in different places.
So showing, not just telling. Giving real examples.
Exactly. A good follow-up could be, can you share a challenge you faced working with a client from a different background and how you overcame it? Shows your willingness to learn and grow.
Okay, on to question 13. How do you handle stress and maintain a healthy work-life balance? We've talked self-care, but this is more about practical strategies.
Right. It's about proving you have a plan to protect your well-being, avoid burnout.
So how do you showcase those strategies?
Talk about specific things that help you de-stress. Exercise, meditation, time with loved ones, whatever works. The key is to show healthy coping mechanisms.
And mentioning boundaries is important, right? Like set work hours, limiting contact with clients after hours.
Absolutely. Boundaries are crucial for work-life balance. A follow-up could be, how would you handle a client needing support outside of work hours? Test your ability to balance their needs with healthy boundaries.
Okay, prioritizing both your clients and yourself. Question 14. What are your strengths as a clinical social worker? Feels like a chance to brag, but how do you answer authentically?
This is your time to shine. Highlight those skills and qualities that make you a strong candidate, but be genuine. Back it up with examples.
What strengths would impress interviewers in this field?
Think core skills. Empathy, active listening, communication, problem-solving, crisis intervention, cultural competence. Your knowledge of different therapy approaches too, but don't just list them. Give examples.
So show the what and how of your strengths. What about personal qualities? Resilience, compassion, dedication to social justice.
Those are great. Can really set you apart. A good follow-up. Can you give an example of using your strengths to help a client achieve a positive outcome? Connects your skills to real results.
Okay, last one. What are your salaried expectations? Always a tricky one. How do you approach it without underselling or overshooting?
Research. Look up average salaries for clinical social workers in your area beforehand. Consider your experience, qualifications, the job's requirements.
And how do you phrase your answer? Not too vague, not too specific.
You could say, based on my research and experience, I'm looking for a salary in the range of insert range. Or, I'm very interested in this opportunity. I'm sure we can find a salary that works for both of us.
And if they push for a number, better to give a range.
Yes, gives you flexibility. Be ready for, are you willing to negotiate? Know your worth, but be open.
Okay, 15 questions down. I'm feeling much more prepared. But before we go to the final part, I want to stress practicing your answers. RoleCatcher's AI can really help with that.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI is personalized. It analyzes your responses, helps you improve, and even tailors your answers to match the job description.
Like a coach giving you targeted feedback.
Exactly. Don't forget video practice. Seeing yourself answer questions can be so helpful. You can see your body language, how you sound, your whole presentation.
Okay, so before we move on to part 3, I have a little challenge for you. Think about everything we've talked about. Your strengths, experiences, the specific job. Imagine you're in that interview. What questions would you ask them? Write down a few. We'll talk about asking insightful questions in part 3. See you soon.
Back for the final part of our deep dive.
We've covered so much, what clinical social work is all about, those tough interview questions.
Explored how RoleCatcher's AI can help you prep, and I hope you've come up with some great questions for the interviewer.
Asking questions is key. Shows you're engaged, curious, really interested.
Exactly, and it's your chance to learn about them, see if it's the right fit for you.
Okay, let's talk about asking those great questions. Any tips for making a strong impression?
Well, research is number one. Don't just skim their website, go deeper. Their mission, programs, any recent news or projects they're doing.
Showing you've done your homework, you're not just applying anywhere.
Right, asking about their specific work shows you really want to be part of it.
Okay, that makes sense. What kind of questions should we be asking?
Ones that you can't just Google, like their team culture, opportunities for growth, or the specific challenges and rewards of the role.
Those are good ones, digging deeper than surface level.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask about their experience. What's been your most rewarding experience here?
Yeah.
Or what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced in this role?
Oh, I like those. Shows you value their perspective.
Exactly. It's a two-way street, remember? You're learning about them too, making sure it's right for you.
Okay, so we've got the types of questions. Now some general interview tips to help you stand out.
Practice that STAR method. It's a classic for those tell me about a time questions.
Oh yeah, helps you structure your answers. What does STAR stand for again?
Situation, task, action, result. So you set the scene, what you had to do, what you did, and the outcome.
Great for telling a clear story, making sure you hit all the points.
Exactly. And watch your body language. Eye contact, good posture, project that confidence, even if you're nervous.
Nonverbal cues can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And be yourself. Authenticity matters. Let your personality shine, your passion for social work.
Love that advice. They're not just looking for skills,
Yeah.
but a good fit for their team.
Exactly. Someone who's passionate, dedicated, really wants to make a difference.
Well, we've covered a ton in this deep dive. Exploring the role, those interview questions, how to ask insightful questions.
And don't forget RoleCatcher's AI. They're to help you every step of the way.
From those applications to practicing your answers, it's like having a personal coach.
So as you go into that interview, remember to breathe, be confident, let your passion shine. You've got this.
The world needs more amazing social workers. We're rooting for you. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck in your interview.